welcome back.
Hi. Well, we are continuing our interview series with Martina. So thank you for joining us. And we're going to get into some other deeper sort of conversation and then some questions. And I'll preface with saying we're going to be honest about our experiences with this and sharing with you all. And if you have any comments, you want to share anything, please do so in the comment section. We will definitely read those and hopefully be able to address them in a future video. But we're going to get started. So Martina and I have been talking and wanted to really share our own experiences around this. So I'm going to ask her, as you think back about growing up, being whether you're a teenager, a child, a young adult, now as an adult, we're adulting in this world. I want to know, and I hope our viewers want to know what your experience has been, particularly with racism. What did it come through to you as a child? What did you learn about it as a kid, as a Black child in the South? Like I don't have that experience. And I think even just seeing that tradition through adulthood and, your teenage years, college years, and even when you moved up here in Chicago, how did that kind of manifest in your life? So the floor is yours, Martina.
Oh, okay, that's a long question. So let's see. I'm thinking like most of my racist experience or things that I can recall really have been like in adulthood. And I think I'm sure I did experience it. I mean, I did when I was younger, but I really have to think about it because it's been so long ago, and I'm trying to think of the things that really stuck out to me. I know for a lot of parts, and even now into adulthood, I've always kind of been that Black friend for like the white girls, that one friend. And that it was in like high school as well, in a sense, because like I had probably, in a sense, I had a really good Black girlfriend. Like she was my friend, and we're still friends to this day. But I think across the board, a lot of my friends growing up were like little white girls. And I think about that now. And I, even to this day, oh God knows I have so many different groups of friends now. But even in my friends with like my white friends, I'm the only Black friend that they have. And that always interests me because I'm like, do you just not try to have other friends of color? But then again, like, like I told you this, it's like ever since I moved here to Chicago, I've really been more around like the Latino community, because growing up that wasn't just a part of it. But now, I have a lot of Latino friends, or a number of them. And maybe I'm thinking, is that what happened with them too? They didn't grow up around a lot of Black people. So then I've also been told, one thing I've been told is that, wow, you're like, that pretty for a Black girl thing, or like, you're not like other Black people. What does that mean? Like, you're not,
dig into that. Like, I'd love to hear your thoughts around that comment.
And I guess, it kind of goes back to these perceived ideas of what people think or how they think you should behave. Like, you got to say girl and all this type of stuff. Don't get me wrong, I do that too. I do that on here, know. But I will say I'm a little bit more freer on here than I think with those group of friends, in a sense, because it almost is like you're that Black friend. And so I think we all do it. You code switch. You code switch, or you edit yourself to whomever you're with, whether it's personal, professional, relationships, whatever. You code switch a little bit. And I do find myself, and I'm thinking, maybe that's what I did too when I was younger. I code switched, but didn't know I was doing it. But now it's much more evident, I think, because when I'm with my white friends, in a sense, oh Lord, they might end up watching this.
Okay.
I think I do tend to like not talk about real deep issues that would impact me as a Black woman, like talking about just what it means to be Black, and like talking to other women of color, other Black women about what it means to code switch at work every day. Even when you don't know you're doing it, it's like in a sense be like, oh yes, I'll surely get that report to you. And like, girl, no, he came to me asking for this report. And it's just like your mind just does it. And I think for me, I don't even know I'm doing it anymore. And I think that's something I want to be more conscious about. And why do I feel the need to have to code switch? Why? And to me, that is all a part of that experience, like that experience of racism. And it makes me think, was there something, this is getting to the psychology of it. What happened? Like, was there some sort of traumatic experience? Like, did I see my family or my parents having to like switch, like when I was younger, being like, well, why is mommy acting different with this person? And she's acting different. And it's just like, I wonder just where did I first notice that in myself, that I had to code switch. And I think people do it for survival, or you feel you need to do it for survival. And that's probably, I think, a really intense way of putting it. But I think for so long, people of color have had to code switch in order to survive. If you look back at slavery, they didn't like being a slave, but you had to say, yes, massa, no. And you had to, because that was your survival. If not, either you were going to die or your children, you had to do it. And I'm like, maybe is that where, I don't know where this idea of code switching come from. Maybe I need to do a little bit more research and find out why. But just really thinking to myself how, as an adult, I've really noticed a lot of more about racism. And I think too, one thing about being in Chicago, since racism here is just as prevalent here as it is down the South. Only thing always people like, oh my God, how is it, being from the South and living in Chicago? I was like, at least in the South, I know who I'm dealing with. I know who's racist. I know who to stay away from. Up here in Chicago, it's evident with the young man a few weeks ago, if we can recall, I don't know if it was in New York or Florida. It was a woman. She called the police on a Black man. She was in a park or something.
New York.
It was in New York. Yeah. And I think it was, and I'm probably going to get some of this wrong, but so she called a police officer on the man. I don't know if he was I'm sure he's just minding his own business.
Watching.
Okay, there we go. He's bird watching, just minding a Black man bird watching. Look at that. Just minding his own business. Yeah. And I don't know what prompted her to call the police on him. But it's those type of people, though, because I think it was like people were saying, it's the liberal white people you got to watch out for. All of this to come around to say is here in Chicago, you don't often know. No one. I feel like being called a racist is like one of the worst things you can call people. And people who feel that they're not racist, who don't even acknowledge it, gets like, oh my God, I'm not racist. What do you mean? And I think here in Chicago, you just don't know. Because people think because they voted for Obama, oh, I got a Black friend, but now people are finding different ways to word that. They're not necessarily saying it that way, but it's those people you got to watch, That, to me, that's what I feel. And down south, you ain't got to do all that. I know who not to fuck with, and it's cool. Up here, you don't always know. You think somebody might be your friend, they might be on your side, then you start learning things about them as you either spend more time with them or just hearing things about them from other associates or friends. And you're like, okay. But then they get in your face, they laugh and kick in, and it's like, okay, but I really know how you feel. It's just, and so I think everything that's happening right now, you're really kind of seeing who is their true self. I've got white friends that are like staying quiet right now, and not in a bad way, but they're staying quiet in a sense that they are not trying to overstep their bounds, in a sense. Like I'll post things on Instagram and they'll send me like they'll like it or they'll clap it, but they are staying quiet. And I don't know if it's in a sense because maybe they are staying quiet to like, because this is not their move, this is not their time. Like they're like, I agree with you, I'm in solidarity with you, but I'm just kind of staying quiet. Then of course, you got the white people right now. You got the woke white people. The woke white people, I love you, but y'all are getting on my nerves. Y'all really are. And I think in a sense too, what I've really learned as I've gotten older And by being here in Chicago, and I'm a part of a fellowship this year, similar to Lisette, a fellowship that does a lot of focusing on what it means to be a person of color, and really learning a lot about white oppression and how pretty much white supremacy is in everything that we do. And really kind of sitting back and like, not necessarily being comfortable with that, but really analyzing what does that really mean? Like everything from your professional life to maybe even the way you conduct yourself in front of other people who don't look like you. It's all this white supremacy culture. Mm-hmm. And that's really what I've, really started to tune into more and like hone in around more, is that even at work, I think especially at work, even if you work for a predominantly organization of color, still those sort of practices and regulations and policies stem from white culture, because that's all we've had to go on. There's nothing, the people at power or the systems that be, they won't let anything else happen. They can't. So it's just all this white culture. And I'm not saying all of it's bad, but the majority of it has been bad. But it's really, as an adult, is where I have kind of been seeing the impact of racism just with everything, just to like on television, the representation we have with African Americans and people of color being the lead character. I think it's the creator, is it Peele, his movies? He was basically, I think he has said that, is it Jordan Peele? What is his name?
I think it's Jordan Peele.
Sorry, Jordan or Peele, if we messing up your name. But I think he did
the movie. Was it out? No.
Well, he did Us, and then he did the other one. That was the one that really caught on. I can't remember the name of it. But I think he's saying like one of the primary things is that he never wants to not have a black leading man. Yeah. I think that's fine. And some people have, got their draws in the bunches by that. People, But he's like, well, shouldn't you focus on diversity of all people? No, motherfucker, no. Because I think, where has that diversity been for people of color? Mm-hmm. Where is it like, do we see Asian American leading men? I mean, we saw Crazy Rich Asian. That's about the first thing we really see the Asian man being a lead character. Now we're starting to see more, Latino men, African American men being leader, but that's still not where it should be. But just really looking
at the majority.
The majority is going to be your white men. Mm-hmm. And I even think, majority of the actresses are white women. You have like that token black friend that's, one of her girlfriends, but she's like a subpar character. But really getting, of course we have great African-American representation, and, we got Kerry Washington, Viola Davis is a powerhouse all by herself. We got Whoopi up here too. We got just so many great women of color, black women who are actresses and in entertainment. But just really, even looking at politics, we got AOC that's representing. We got a lot of powerful women of color who are really standing out. And to me, it just makes me, very proud to see, but we still got a lot more work to be done, because I think, and one thing I'm gonna just hop on by Viola Davis, honey, when she took off that wig and How to Get Away with Murder, she was like, I'm gonna be myself, I'm gonna wear my natural hair, my dark skin, and we need more of that. People who are proud of that. Not saying you can't be natural hair or you get a relax or whatever. It's your preference. But for her just standing up, and she's one I really do look up to, because I think when she won an Oscar, it could have been an Emmy. She's won like everything at this point. She was saying the only thing that separates, women of color from other women is just opportunity.
Yeah.
That's it. And people always like bitching about affirmative action and like equal rights. Those people don't really get it, because we have had to say but the governments and systems have tried to put these things into place so that people of color can have that opportunity. We're not saying don't hire me, like I personally don't hire me just like if you want me to be your black person in the group. Right. I'm like, no, we're not doing that. But I think in a sense, like, I'm just saying putting me on an equal slate as the white girl. We both have the same experience, the same education. We should be on an equal slate. It shouldn't have anything to do with color. And oftentimes it does. And that's what people don't often understand. And so really, I think in my adult life is where I really have tried to understand the racial impact that it continues to have. And I think as me, as I learn more about myself in this fellowship, and just from being around, I say like-minded, but even people who think differently from me, really starting to understand how racist most things are.
Yeah.
And even for those things that are not trying to be racist, but they just are, because that's almost what, like, the United States was founded on racism and prejudices. I mean, it's so interesting because the United States was fleeing another country who was trying to suppress them. And so the people who founded this country have ended up suppressing its own group of people. That was, I feel like, a lot.
No, I think, I mean, and that's the thing when we talk about a subject like racism and something that we each have our individual experiences and understanding of it. And I think we can go into details. One thing that came into my head as you were talking or came to mind was really, is there like one concrete thing that you can pinpoint that, you know, racism has impacted your adult life, whether it's professionally, personally, like how has that impacted you? Either how you navigate your everyday life or how you approach your professional kind of world. Like, is there something that you can kind of dig into, like concrete in your life?
I would say professionally most, because that's where I'm at in my life, or where I've been and where I'm still trying to go, is that at a previous job that I've had, even though I'm not there anymore, and I get updates from friends who still work there, and there are people that started after I did, and yes, they granted would often have more experience, but those people who are white males have been able to, since I left, and my gosh, it's been like 2.5 years since I left, have been promoted twice in positions. As women, just in general, there are women who I know when I was there, 2 women at least who had been there going on 15 years, had not had a raise. And they had other people coming in who were making more money than they did, and they had been there 15 years. And it was oftentimes white men that were coming, or people who were white coming in making this kind of money. And this to me, it's like, do companies even realize what they're doing at this point? Like, is it just this white supremacy culture that's so ingrained? You just think this is normal. This is normal. And that part is that, for me, I'm like much more conscious about even being a part of my fellowship, which is a fellowship for African American women. And one of the fellows said early on in our fellowship was like, people of color have to start keeping spots open for people of color because white people do it. And I never really heard someone say that like that before, but it's like, just like Johnny No Name is keeping a spot open for Billy over here, women have to start doing that. Women of color have to start doing that for each other. And stop letting other people make you feel bad about it, because white men are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
That you're doing. And these are the kind of things that I'm keeping in my head as I continue on in my career. And it's almost, in a sense, like it goes back to still like that whole switching of code, that code switching thing. And it's real fucked up. You have to think like that. You have to think about leaving a spot open for a Black woman, because corporate America or jobs are just not going to do it.
Yeah.
They're not going to do it. And if they do it, they're going to come in and try to lowball you at the lowest salary available. And it's just like, would you do this with someone else that didn't look like me? So that's where I'm at right now. Really, racism as it relates to my professional career is really where I'm like looking at it from that lens right now. I mean, social is another thing too, but really I think as far as myself, professional.
Well, thank you for sharing that and for being open and honest, and giving us a glimpse into your experiences and the impact it's had on your life, and what it'll continue to have. I think that's something we'll touch on later on in future episodes around as we dig into racism. So I appreciate your time and your words that you brought today. So thank you, and thank you again, everybody, for joining in.
Thank you
And
for listening
yeah,
to a lot of it. I was rambling on, but thank you for listening.
but if there's anything that resonated with you, those that are watching, please comment. We'd love to hear your feedback and things that we can definitely touch more on. Point those out for us, because we definitely want to ensure that we're touching things that resonate with everybody. And even if you feel it's something that's completely out of the box or something that may be too risky or just too much, let us know. And we tend to want to push the envelope a little bit, stretch that, and have those hard conversations around it. Martina, you touched on like white supremacy and things like those aren't words that people want to talk about too much, but we definitely appreciate everybody listening, and we will see you next time, and then please subscribe if you haven't done so, and we look forward to seeing you at our next episode. Bye everybody.
Bye.